Stop! Stop! He's already dead.
What's good, YouTube? You know the drill. We're back at it. We're covering more Scarlet and Violet deck profiles. We've covered a handful of them on the list channel before. They were pretty straightforward. They were pretty popular and pretty strong. Today's list is a little more out there. We're going to take a quick sidebar and take a look at Koraidon EX and Lucario EX. Both of them look pretty lackluster in a vacuum, I'm not going to lie. Lucario just had its own theme deck-esque kind of product revealed, so you can get your one of there. But I didn't see anything on how I wanted to build the deck. I feel like people are overvaluing the Koraidon ability, and you kind of have to look at it what it is. It's a 3 energy, 220 beat stick. The ability is essentially a once per game ability, because if you're using it more than once, chances are you've lost. And Lucario, its best thing going for it is typing, and we're going to really try to take advantage of that today. So if you've enjoyed the content so far, or if you're enjoying the content today, be sure to drop a like, comment below what you think of the list. How are you going to build it? Did I just offend a bunch of people on that Arcanine v Koraidon pile of cards? Let me know below. And with that said, let's dive right in. So we're going to start. We're going to put Koraidon front and center. So Koraidon has the ability, once during your turn, take 2 basic fighting energy from your discard pile and attach them to your fighting Pokemon in any way you like. If you use this ability, your turn ends. So it's Zacian V, throwback, but worse. You don't get to draw any cards. You have to have the energy in the discard pile, and you can only essentially use it the first turn of the game. So ignore that. Pretend like that blurb doesn't really exist. If we get to use it, fantastic. If not, I'm not fretting, but it's the attack that I'm here for. For double fighting, colorless, 220, and it can attack the next turn, that'll be the most efficient 220 in this deck. So that's very good. It hits into lightning weak Pokemon, it hits into normal Pokemon that are weak to fighting. Fighting is a very good type to hit. It also hits the occasional dark Pokemon. So you hit 3 types. That is Koraidon's best strength. All right, don't worry about the ability. We will make it do. Now, let's get the Lucario package out of the way. We are playing 4 Riolu. We are playing 2 Brilliant Stars Lucario. Roaring Resolve, my favorite stage 2 ability on a stage 1. Once during your turn, put 2 damage counters on this Pokemon. If you do, search your deck for a fighting energy and attach it to this Pokemon. So it charges itself up on the bench, but Aura Sphere Valley does 10 plus 60 more for each fighting energy on it, and discard all energy attached to it. So 3 is 190, 4 is 250, 5 is 310. Very, very good. We're taking out those lightning Pokemon. The Miraidons, the Ampharoses, the Regielekis, like that's what we're trying to prey on. The Oinkalones, if we can deal with that pesky freaking Dunsparce. But, you know, digress, keep going. There's another Lucario in the deck worth mentioning. We got Lucario from Scarlet and Violet base set. Vengeful Knuckles. If something is knocked out, one of your fighting Pokemon are knocked out, this does 120 more damage. So 150 for 1 energy is very, very nice. So we have 190 for 3, or we have 150 for 1. So they're both pretty useful. And then we have 220 for 3. So that's not too bad. So we're just kind of chugging along. Lucario is a revenge style attacker here. So it's very good, very worth mentioning. And of course, we're only playing 1 copy of Lucario EX. And the reason why is it's a closer or a softener. So it will knock out something in the active if it's weak to it. So Lucario can deal with your Miraidons, your Ampharoses, your Regielekis, that kind of thing, and then poke something for 50, right? But I don't think it'll survive more than 1 attack. So you kind of have to know when to pop it out there. So I wouldn't lead in with it. I wouldn't start with it. I wouldn't tip my hand to it. I wouldn't include more than 1 spot. But again, we're going with Lucario theme. We could try to put it in every Lucario, but again, just Lucario has a lot of cards, so I figured it was worth including. And then we are playing 2 copies of Zorua. Oh, you know what's going on here. So 2 copies of Zorua. We are playing 2 copies of Zoroark. So Phantom Transformation lets you take a Zoroark and swap it with a stage 1 in your discard pile. So it can turn into all the Lucarios. It can turn into a couple other targets in this deck. But essentially, we can set up another Vengeful Knuckles or Brilliant Stars or even the EX out of nowheres if we decided we didn't want to play it right away. So it's very good in that sense. And you can kind of work your utility off that. Our 2 utility Pokemon for Phantom Transformation are Mightyena. So if a VMAX is in play, it attacks for free. But if not, it takes 3 energy, does 160, knocks out dark Pokemon. Looking at you, Gardevoir, looking at you, Bayonet, anything psychic at that point. Mightyena's got your back. Slowbro, Twilight Inspiration. So if you have your opponent has 1 prize left, take 2 prizes. So it's a comeback mechanic. If we fall behind early, we can catch up. That's the big reason why it's in here. That's why we've got it. And then we are playing 1 copy of Radiant Greninja. Discard an energy card from your hand, draw 2 cards. We are playing a naturally high energy count in this deck because we are going to try to get a lot of use out of it, and we are going to try to keep going through it. So Greninja lets us discard, draw 2 more, keeps us from bricking, helps with Dino Cry. In the rare instance, we get to use it. And yeah, just a little more push. And then, of course, we are playing 1 copy of Bidoof, 1 copy of Bibarel. So Industrious Incisors. Once per turn, you can draw until you have 5 cards in hand. So when we're going to be playing a lot of discard synergy, we are going to use Bibarel. Phantom Transformation can turn into it, but because it's our main means of draw, we do want the Bidoof in the deck to draw off it. And so we're going to continue to be all over the place. So you let me know what you think of the layout, and if you like it, I will bring it back. If you don't, we will scrap it for something else. For Ultra Ball, discard 2 cards from your hand, grab any Pokemon. So again, Zoroark pieces, just thinning. Thinning is winning, right? Grabs any Pokemon in the deck. Best ball card in format. 4 copies of Nest Ball. This over Level Ball because it hits everything. Greninja, Koraidon, Bidoof, Riolu, Zorua. Hits all the basics. Nest Ball is much more value in this deck than, say, Level Ball. Whereas in some decks, the Level Ball is a little more value. Count how many targets you have with a Nest Ball compared to Level Ball, and that'll tell you which one is a little more valuable. Then we are playing the main means of energy acceleration. Gutsy Pickaxe. So reveal a top card of your deck. It's a fighting energy. Attach it to your benched Pokemon. If it's not, put it into your hand. So it's digging. It's picking away at the top of your deck so you can try to get to more cards. So it can charge up our Lucario EX into 1 turn. It can charge up our Koraidon. So we're playing a naturally high energy count to help maximize the Gutsy Pickaxe, which is a nice segue into our energy. So we are playing 12. Pop the dice on the screen there so you can see them. So we're playing 12. And the reason is 11 didn't seem enough. 12 is what, 20% of your deck? With Gutsy Pickaxe being a 4 of, yeah, that makes sense. That's pretty much a solid. And Lucario is going to be pulling them out of the deck with Roaring Resolve. So we still want a few of them still in the deck. And we are going to play 2 copies of Energy Recycler, because we need to put up to 5 energy back in your discard pile to make Gutsy Pickaxe live. We want to improve our odds of actually seeing a hit off the pickaxe. We don't want it to be whiffs often than not, so 2 recyclers just in case. Then we are playing 2 copies of Switch. So just to move our Pokemon. Unfortunately, Air Balloon rotates. I know, big sad. And we have to rely on Switch cards and manually retreating, which is kind of rough, not gonna lie. Maybe our opponent plays Beach Court and we can take advantage of that. Who knows? 2 copies of Energy Switch. So sometimes Lucario that's, Roaring Resolving to itself will charge up and we realize, hey, we don't need that extra energy on it. So Energy Switch lets us move it around. So Koraidon is our 223 target. Mightyena is 160. So Mightyena and Slowbro need the Energy Switch to get going. Or Aurasphere needs the Energy Switch to get going. So, or if you want to go for a big home run swing with the Lucario, so you go previous turn attached with the Lucario, Dino Cry. Then we got Attach Return, Roaring Resolve. And then we can go Energy Switch from a second Roaring Resolve. And we can hit 310 on the second turn of the game. So it's a lot of legwork, but Energy Switch just opens more options for attackers. And I felt like that was worthwhile to have in the deck rather than not have it. So now our supporter count gets a little janky. 2, Professor's Research. So a lot of these cards we really don't want to be throwing away, but we still want the option to have some research. Discard your hand, draw 7. 2 copies of Serena. So discard up to 3 cards from your hand or switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon V. This card has extreme utility in a lot of decks. Don't sleep on it because it says Pokemon V as the second effect. 2 copies of Judge. Shuffle your hand into your deck, both players. Draw till you have 4 cards. It's Disruption. It also lets us put energy back into our hand if we have to. 2 copies of Raihan. You can play this if one of your Pokemon were knocked out. Put an energy onto one of your Pokemon, then search your deck for any card. Alright. We can go Energy Switch, we can go Gutsy Pickaxe, we can go anything else in between. 2 copies of Boss's Orders. switch one of your opponent's Pokemon with their active. Makes sense, right? Pretty straightforward. And of course, we are playing one copy of Grant. During this turn, your fighting Pokemon do 30 more damage. So all of your Pokemon see a nice little uptick in play. During this turn, if Grant is in your discard pile, you can discard 2 cards from it, except a Grant, and put it into your hand. So Grant is a reusable choice belt, which is why we're not playing choice belt. If you want to put more choice belts in, by all means, you don't feel like the energy switches are relevant or the Raihans are needed, go for it. But Grant lets us discard pieces for Zoroark a little easier. It can also grab us a choice belt in a pinch for the turns that we don't need to play a supporter. What did I miss? So again, I will make my stance. I was not an large fan of the Arcanine V. I understand if you wanted to include it as a one of, because you could use Lucarios to thin your deck and then kind of use the Arcanine to draw them all over. I totally get that. You could cut the maybe the Slowbro if you're not worried about falling behind. That would be the big thing. But again, we don't play enough switching. So if they like boss strand something, or if it dies, then everything's off the board. Or at least with all these little attackers, we can spread it out. Let me know what you think of the deck list. We are going to showcase it in action. We're going to try not to put it against Gardevoir to start because, you know, it's strong, but it's not that strong. And yeah, until next time, guys, take care.